Good morning. Today we have GIno, one of the Yonkers artists. He's going to tell us about a few things that we don't know much about it. Arts, Yonkers in general, the changes in Yonkers, the progress, what the mayor has done that no other mayor done before him. So first of all, let me say good morning to GIno.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. GIno, we heard a lot about your art,
Thank
about
you.
the things that you have done, and for how long you've been doing. Can you give me a little bit of...
Well, it depends how much time do you have, because I could talk for hours, but let's try to do it in a few minutes.
Correct.
I started in 1950 when I was 15, and I've been involved about 67 years. I've been involved in different countries. Actually, I must say, I've been showing in all 5 continents. I was lucky to obtain exhibitions, solo exhibitions, and to be accepted in juried and non-juried group exhibition globally. So from South America to Africa to Australia to Europe and the North American and South American continent. I've been busy all over. I forgot to mention also in the Far East. I've shown in Japan many times, in Taiwan and so on. One of the things that I want to talk about is the fact that about 40 years ago when I started living in Yonkers, there was not much in the field of arts. There were probably about 75, 100 artists, so people who wanted to create art. And how do I know it? The Board of Education in Yonkers, around 1986-87, was a sponsor of an art gallery in a building in North Broadway, 1986-87. So they asked me to curate for this particular gallery. The director was a teacher from Roosevelt High School, and he was a photographer. And at the same time, Roosevelt High School had a TV program where the very students would talk on television 1 hour a week about art. Most people don't know about it, but it was called, I think, Channel 25, and there was This Is Art or something, Art Today. So in 86, 87, I was coming from an international environment, having traveled the world, and I had connections left and right. So what did I do? I started exchanging exhibitions with foreign artists. So we had people from Japan, from China come here and show their work, from France, from Italy, and so on and so on. And in exchange, we will also make a group of artists here, pick up a few artists and their work and send them to different countries. So that was the only activity really going on from 87 to about 93. Then around the end of the 90s, the beginning of the 2000, the Blue Door Gallery, which was founded by Louis Perelman, was sort of in existence in a small place. Eventually, through West Hab, obtained a space on Riverdale Avenue in Yonkers. And so the Blue Door was I would say, in my experience, in 40 years, the oldest art gallery in Yonkers. And they tried to really, and they're still alive, of course, and they're promoting a lot of things, not only in fine arts, but also in poetry, in teaching, ceramics, sculpture, and so on and so on. So it's really, I would say that was the engine for the arts for many years. At the same time, the Yonkers Public Library, the new one, Riverfront, in front of the river, started having a yearly Yonkers artist exhibition. So what happened? While I was running the West Room Gallery in North Broadway, I had challenged the Board of Education, say, look, there are many artists in Yonkers. You may not know. They say, oh, no, it's not possible. I said, there is plenty. I put an ad on a newspaper, and I had 100 answers. That's why I say, that's why I say that 35 years ago, there were about 100 artists in Yonkers. If I tell you today, and I can affirm it and give you their email addresses, today in our area, there are 300 artists. How come that all this happened? First of all, the excitement of having an yearly event at the library that allowed artists living in Yonkers or who had a type of work in Yonkers or who had a student in Yonkers could show. So I co-curated with Louis Perelman this yearly show for many years. And recently, I think the last year or 2 years ago, Haifa Bin Kadi picked up the responsibility of curating the show at the library. Now, after the Boudoir, then the library was the second next main activity in Yonkers. And about that time, our current mayor, Mike Spano, started showing serious interest in the development of the arts in Yonkers. And he invited the FIT people to show in a building not far from Larkin Plaza. And there was a beautiful show about 2 years ago with artists selected from the FIT from New York City.
All right. But now, GIno, let's go a little bit prior to when you started. When did you begin to notice that you had something artistic in you? What was your first work, your first display of art?
It was totally unusual to me, or in my mind. I was not that interested in museums until age 14, 15. Of course, in the Italian school systems where I went, you have to learn to draw, at least sketch something if you want to express, you want to describe something. So until age 14, I would be able to draw and make a little drawing. I wasn't too bad versus the other kids. Then at age 15, all of a sudden, a visit to a museum was not a bore. All of a sudden, I started seeing something. And then I started playing myself with some watercolors. So very simple dry colors that you add water and you make watercolors. So in 1950, I started doing that. And then I started also at age 17, I started traveling throughout Europe. I hitchhiked throughout Europe, learned a lot of things, visited countries like Switzerland, France, England. I even went to work in the fields as an assistant in the agriculture field, picking up fruits and picking up weeds from the fields. But there was one way to make some money and continue traveling. So I learned visually, visiting these countries and getting a little more and more interest. At the same time, I was trying to learn English because you study English in school, but then you have to practice it. And I was, after working all day in the field, and in the evening I would go to a theater and look at a movie and then go back again the second night, and I go the third night. So finally some English came into me. Then all of a sudden we're now in the 1954, and I'm 19, and I have developed a series of works, small, but they were interesting, they were different. I was treating oil colors like watercolor and so on, and through a friend, I was asked to show this work in Paris. So in 1954, I had my first one-man show in Paris, France. Now, two of the top, it was really luck, two of the top writers about the arts noticed me, and they wrote about me. And because of that, in 1955 and 56 and the following years, I was invited as the representative of the Italian artists to show in the Art Libre and the École de Paris, which were the most important exhibitions in the 50s. And from that moment on, has been a steady flow of exhibitions. I changed style, I don't know how many times. I've been involved in figurative, then I became totally abstract. It became more and more expressionistic. Then I developed all sort of graphics interests. And I also learned a lot of different techniques from woodcuts, silk screening, you name it. And what happened is that coming from Europe and coming to work in the United States in, I think it was 1969, I established connections here. After so many years in New York City, I also had exhibitions in the city. From there, I moved to Yonkers. Moving to Yonkers, as I said, there was this activity with the West Room Gallery, then the Blue Door, and now then the library. And finally, about a couple of years ago, the mayor continued his interest in opening up to the arts and assisted probably the FIT of New York City to open a contemporary art gallery in Main Street.
Okay, so GIno, now let's, in order to have the interview moving along, you have seen a few mayors in Yonkers.
Yes.
Okay, and of all the mayors that you have seen, which of those mayors that you think it's much pro art and helps the art industry or the artists in Yonkers?
Well, there is absolutely no hesitation in saying that out of the 7 or 8 mayors I had the opportunity to meet, opportunity to know, the opportunity to watch and see and what they were doing for Yonkers. There is only one mayor who really did something for the arts. And not only he believes that they are a sparkle for activity, but I think that because of this activity that there will be a growth in not only in the movement of people around, in business and so on and so on. Similar thing.
And which mayor is that?
Oh, that happens to be Mike Spano. And for example, you cannot, if you go back in history, you look at the YoHo artists living in this building, the YoHo building. And they have a once-a-year event with 2 days open. How many of these previous mayors came here and spent time? Not all of them. You can rest assured. But this mayor came here, and he comes here, brings people, and I got news for you. He even comes by himself. He came once to my own studio about 3 years ago. He climbed all the steps. On the back, 4 floors, came to see and visit with me. He doesn't like all my work. He only likes a small part of my work, but he came to look at my work. And we talk and we exchange opinions about things. Now, the question was really the progress of the arts. So because of the third gallery coming in, which was Urban Studio Plus Unbound in Main Street, which is in essence all FIT people that started this gallery with the help of the City Hall. Now we have PC4, which is Purchase College Community Center, PC4, which is Community Center for the Arts, etc. And That PC4 is under the control of Haifa bin Kadi, who prepares the program and shows various things from African music and dance to arts and all sort of different events, fashion, etc., etc. So it's a real community center. Now you have 4 full-time art galleries in Yonkers, but it's a dream. 40 years ago, it didn't exist.
That's true.
So now the 4 gallery not only also allow for a 5th and a 6th to come in. Not just, it's not an issue of competition, is to provide a variety of things. And of course, you heard about the old prison building that is being converted, and Maya Lin, the artist who created the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C., she's going to probably convert that into some sort of a museum for the arts that they own in Peekskill, etc. Now that we talk about Peekskill, there was there was an intent by ex-governor Pataki to try to do something similar in Peekskill many years ago. And there were major articles, full page, 2 pages articles on the New York Times saying Peekskill is going to be the center of art for all this area. Forget it. They tried for 2-3 months. They even they were loading people into buses from Manhattan to bring them to openings of gallery, but it didn't work. It didn't work because, in fact, there was not the steady belief. Now, what Mike Spano has, the mayor, is a steady belief that he's doing the right thing, and he's getting, I think, he's getting the support from the current 300 artists who believe in him.
All right. Now, not everything lately had been roses, GIno. I understand that you were at the building next door that caught fire.
I was here, yes. I was in this building, yeah.
Was this building?
Yeah.
You lost a lot of material.
Yeah.
Then you moved to the other building.
Yes.
That also
had another fire.
Had another fire.
Because, see, what happened is that while I was in the process of, I was waiting for the changes in this building, which again, they are part of the basic intentions of the mayor. I think the mayor, together with the owners of this building, the one next door, and 3 or 4 buildings in this area, they were thinking of creating the Carpet Mills Art District and have a second floor in this building connected to the next building and become like a mall with stores and art galleries and so on. So that, again, that's part of the basic, the visionary plans of a mayor, and is supported by the owners of these buildings. So I was waiting for that conversion. So about a few months ago, I just left this particular location, and I relocated part of my studio in Holy Terrace. And guess what? There was a fire there, and I lost about 20 of my pieces, and then I have 41 needed restoration, and so many others still smell, and they are damaged by water. So what really happened to me is that I'm waiting now. I'm partially working back in my home and in my basement and garage. I'm waiting for this conversion of the Carpet Mill Art District into becoming what they hope within a year or so, a major place, a major venue for the arts and for stores and restaurants and so on in the area.
So now, because we don't have much time, GIno, but I want our audience to know, when is your next exposition? I know that you just finished one around, I think, 13 Warburton Avenue.
Right.
I heard good reviews about it.
Thank you.
But somehow I found out by accident. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't see it advertised anywhere. At least I did not see it, not that it wasn't.
Right.
So when is the next one coming?
Well, first of all, let me address the point why you didn't hear about it. I think Yonkers Rising has not been nice to me in the last couple of weeks. They have plenty of information since 2 months about the exhibition. They have photos. They also had information about a major event which is ongoing at the same time in Florence, Italy. A few years ago, 6-7 years ago, I donated 600 pieces of my art to the city of Florence to support, to be auctioned and to support underprivileged women to regain their place in society. So Florence, they created posters as big as that one, where they invited the city to come. And all that is covered by press, by radio, by TV, and so on. And I'll show you all that. I was hoping Yonkers Rising would dedicate some time to this, but they failed totally. So the public did not know about the show, but some smaller websites have advised the public that there was a show. And at the same time, whoever is interested in art, they find a way to get information. So you didn't find it. I noted myself that the crowd was not the crowd of people whom I know. It was people coming from the street.
Exactly.
Which just by passing by, and you became curious.
So next time, remember Yonkers Voice. Yonkers Voice is one of the largest social network and also an external web page where you can communicate to the entire community about things that happen in Yonkers.
And I apologize, I was not with Yonkers Voice, and I will be since yesterday.
Next
I
time.
And I hope at the next events, I have 2 events scheduled, one in Ossining at the end of this year at the Ossining Public Library, and in 2 years at the Greenberg Public Library. And at the same time, I continue showing all around the world where I have opportunities.
Well, thank you very much, GIno. And don't forget, next time you are around Yonkers, contact us so we can give you a big shout and let everyone in Yonkers know where your show is going to be, what times, so we get a good turnout and people to come. And thank you to my Hispano for making the arts possible in Yonkers, to give them an opportunity to work and expose the work that they do. Thank you very much for everything, and hope to see you soon, Yonkers Voice.
Thank you.